Faith is a word often spoken yet rarely examined in all its depth. For many, it is associated with religious tradition, with inherited prayers, rituals, and sacred texts. For others, it might evoke the trust placed in life itself, in the unfolding of circumstances, or in the dignity and resilience of the human spirit. Yet when we ask what it truly means to have faith, we are invited into a question that is not merely theoretical. It is a question that touches the way we face suffering, how we understand purpose, how we love, how we persevere, and how we choose hope over despair when nothing seems certain. To have faith is not simply to agree with statements or doctrines. It is to adopt a way of seeing reality, and a way of standing within it that transforms how we live each day. Before we go further, if this reflection is valuable to you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your own experience of faith. At its core, genuine faith is a response to something, or someone beyond ourselves. It is a posture of trust toward a reality that cannot be fully proved, measured, or controlled, yet is deeply sensed and, for many, personally encountered. Whether one names that reality God, a divine presence, a transcendent goodness, or the profound order and mystery of existence, faith arises when human beings perceive that life is not merely a random sequence of events, but is held, guided, or imbued with meaning at a level deeper than what is immediately visible. This does not mean that everything suddenly becomes easy or that all questions are dissolved. Rather, it means that in the midst of questions, doubt, and uncertainty, there is a decision to lean into trust instead of withdrawing into fear. To understand what it really means to have faith, we must first clear away some common misunderstandings. Faith is not blind credulity, the refusal to think, or the avoidance of reality. It is not the choice to deny suffering, ignore evidence, or repress difficult emotions. A person of deep faith does not close their eyes to the world's pain. Instead, they look more directly at that pain, precisely because they believe that despair is not the final word. To have faith is not to float above the complexity of life, but to enter fully into that complexity with a heart anchored in something larger than oneself. In fact, many of the most profound examples of faith arise from those who have walked through great darkness and continue to affirm that light is real. Another misunderstanding is to reduce faith to a mere intellectual agreement with a set of teachings. Belief and faith are related but not identical. Belief concerns what we hold to be true in our minds. Faith includes this, but goes further. It is possible to say that one believes in certain ideas about God or the world, yet live each day in a way that is dominated by fear, anxiety, and self-protection. Genuine faith, however, reshapes the interior attitude with which we approach the unknown. It allows a person to say, "I do not have all the answers. I do not control the future, but I entrust myself, my struggles, and my hopes to a reality greater than my own limited understanding." Such trust is not anti-intellectual. Rather, it humbly acknowledges the limits of human reason while still honoring its value. Consider the experience of someone facing a serious illness. From a purely material perspective, they can consult doctors, follow treatments, analyze statistics, and try to understand their prognosis. All of this is necessary and reasonable. Yet even after exhausting every possible avenue of information, a great deal of uncertainty remains. The outcome is not guaranteed. In such moments, the question arises, how will this person stand in the face of the unknown? Will they be consumed by fear, paralyzed by every possible worst-case scenario? Or will they choose a different posture? Faith does not remove the uncertainty of outcomes, but it does transform the interior climate in which that uncertainty is lived. The person of faith may still experience fear and sadness, but alongside those feelings, there is a deeper conviction that their life is not meaningless, that they are not abandoned, and that even in suffering there is a possibility of grace, wisdom, and transformation. Many psychological and sociological studies have observed that people who cultivate a sense of spiritual faith often display greater resilience in the face of adversity. This does not mean that they do not feel pain or that tragedy hurts them less. Rather, their belief that life has a purpose and that they are connected to something greater than themselves provides a deeper reservoir of strength. For example, survivors of war, natural disasters, or personal loss frequently mention that their faith in God, in love, or in a larger meaning helped them endure what might otherwise have crushed them. While data cannot fully capture the mystery of faith, it does suggest that a posture of trust and hope can profoundly shape how human beings navigate suffering and uncertainty. Faith is also closely connected with the way we view time. Without faith, it is easy to see our lives as fragile sequences of isolated moments, vulnerable to loss and devoid of any cohesive narrative. But faith invites us to perceive our story within a larger story. In a religious sense, this may mean seeing one's life as held within the intention and care of a loving Creator, where every joy and every sorrow can be woven into a greater purpose. In a more philosophical sense, it can involve trusting that there is a moral fabric to reality, that goodness and truth are not illusions, and that our choices genuinely matter. To have faith is to believe that the final meaning of our existence is not absurdity, but significance. This conviction changes how we interpret both our successes and our failures. Furthermore, faith is not only about what we expect from life, but also about what life expects from us. It contains an ethical dimension. When a person says, "I have faith," they are also in a sense saying, "I am willing to live in a way that reflects what I trust." If someone claims to have faith in a loving God yet refuses to practice compassion, forgiveness, or justice, their faith remains shallow. Authentic faith naturally gives rise to concrete attitudes. Patience in difficulty, generosity in relationships, integrity in decisions, and courage in the face of injustice. It does not mean perfection. Even the most faithful individuals fall short. Yet there is a continuous movement toward alignment between inner conviction and outward action. An illustrative example can be seen in those who dedicate their lives to serving others in challenging contexts. Nurses in under-resourced hospitals, volunteers in humanitarian crises, teachers in dangerous environments, or caregivers who continue to show up for the vulnerable day after day. Many of these individuals are sustained by a deep sense of faith. They may not always speak about it openly, but they carry within them an abiding conviction that their work has meaning, that every act of care matters, and that the dignity of each person is not negotiable. This sense of calling, this willingness to persevere despite exhaustion and obstacles, is often fueled by more than a rational calculation of benefits. It is animated by faith in God and humanity, or in the profound value of love itself. At the same time, it is important to recognize that faith does not eliminate struggle, doubt, or questions. In fact, genuine faith often passes through seasons of darkness. There are moments when previously held certainties seem fragile, when prayers feel unanswered, and when God or meaning feels distant. Such experiences are not signs that faith has failed. Paradoxically, they can be the very place where faith matures. To continue seeking, to continue trusting, even when emotional consolation is absent, is a powerful expression of faith's depth. This is not the stubborn denial of reality, but a humble perseverance that says, I do not feel what I once felt. I do not see what I once saw, yet I choose to remain oriented toward the one I trust, or toward the goodness I still believe in. In this sense, faith is an ongoing journey rather than a static possession. It grows, evolves, and is refined by life itself. Childhood images of God or simplistic notions of reward and punishment may slowly give way to a more mature vision of a God, who is both closer and more mysterious than we imagined. Early convictions may be tested by suffering, disappointment, and the complexity of the world. Yet through each stage, faith invites us to move beyond fear toward trust, beyond control toward surrender, and beyond self-centeredness toward love. To have faith is to walk, often step by step, in the direction of the trust we have chosen, even when the path is not fully clear. Another dimension of what it truly means to have faith can be seen in the way it shapes our identity. A purely secular vision of the self might see human beings primarily as isolated individuals competing for survival, recognition, or success. Faith, however, suggests that we are more than this. We are relational beings, created for communion with God, with one another, and with creation itself. When a person embraces this vision, they do not see themselves as an accident or as fundamentally alone. They see themselves as called, as known, and as loved. This sense of being held in a greater love provides a foundation from which to engage the world with both humility and confidence. It frees a person from the need to build their identity only on external achievements and invites them to rest, instead, in a deeper belonging. It is worth noting that faith is not limited to those who identify with a particular religion. Though religious traditions give it specific language, symbols, and communities of practice, there are people who, without formal affiliation, live with a profound sense of trust in the meaningfulness of life, in the reliability of moral truth, and in the value of self-giving love. They might not use the word faith, but the dynamics are similar. They choose to believe that goodness is real, that justice is worth pursuing even when it seems delayed, and that love has a power greater than hatred or indifference. In this way, faith can be understood as a universal human capacity, the capacity to trust in what is not yet fully seen, and to live now in light of a reality that transcends immediate appearances. Finally, in this first movement of reflection, we can say that to have faith is to accept an invitation. It is the invitation to step out of the suffocating space of self-reliance, where everything depends entirely on our control, and to enter a wider horizon where our lives are held within a deeper wisdom and love. It does not mean abandoning responsibility or critical thinking. Rather, it means recognizing that our minds and our efforts, while precious, are not the ultimate source of security. Faith invites us to entrust ourselves, with all our questions and vulnerabilities, to the one or to the meaning we have come to recognize as faithful. In doing so, we discover that faith is not a fragile escape from reality, but a courageous and transformative way of inhabiting it. To understand even more deeply what it means to have faith, we can now turn our attention to how faith is lived in concrete situations, how it shapes daily decisions, and how it transforms the way we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the world. One of the simplest and most profound ways to describe faith is this: Faith means living today as if the ultimate truth about reality is trustworthy love, whether expressed in strictly religious language or in broader philosophical terms. This affirmation has far-reaching implications. If the deepest truth is love, then our fears, while real, do not have the final authority over our choices. We can move from a defensive posture of self-protection to an open posture of generosity and courage, because we trust that we are not walking alone, and that goodness is stronger than the forces that oppose it. In daily life, faith shows itself in seemingly small yet decisive acts. When a parent wakes up early day after day to care for their children, even when they are tired, uncertain, or overwhelmed, they are acting out of faith. Faith that their sacrifices matter, that their love will bear fruit, and that dedication is not in vain. When an honest worker refuses to participate in corruption, even at personal cost, they display faith. Faith that integrity is more valuable than immediate gain, and that truth ultimately stands, even if it seems temporarily overshadowed. When a person chooses to forgive an offense instead of nurturing resentment, they express faith. Faith that mercy can heal what bitterness can only deepen. These choices are not naive. They are often made in the clear awareness of risks and disappointments. Yet they are rooted in trust that the way of goodness, in the long run, leads to life. Faith also transforms the way we experience our own limitations and failures. Without faith, every mistake can become a source of crushing shame, every weakness a reason for self-contempt, and every setback a confirmation that we are not enough. Faith, however, introduces another perspective. It allows us to see ourselves as unfinished, as works in progress, held in patience by a greater mercy. Instead of interpreting failure as the final verdict on our worth, faith encourages us to see it as an invitation to learn, to grow, and to rely more deeply on grace. This does not excuse wrongdoing or minimize responsibility. On the contrary, it enables genuine accountability, because we are no longer paralyzed by the fear that our errors define us forever. We can acknowledge truth, seek forgiveness, and begin again, trusting that renewal is possible. A powerful expression of faith can be found in how people accompany others in suffering. Consider those who sit beside the sick, the elderly, the dying, or the grieving. Often, they cannot change the circumstances. They cannot erase pain or guarantee outcomes. Yet by their simple presence, by their willingness to remain at the bedside, to listen, to pray, or simply to sit in silence, they embody a faith that says, "You are not alone. Your life has value. I will remain here with you." Such fidelity reflects a deep trust that love is meaningful even when it does not produce visible results, and that to stand with another person in their darkest hour is a sacred act. Faith thus becomes visible in solidarity, compassion, and patient companionship. Moreover, faith challenges us to look beyond our immediate personal circle and consider the broader human family. In a world marked by injustice, inequality, and conflict, it might seem rational to retreat into private comfort and ignore the suffering of others. Faith, however, calls us out of indifference. It invites us to believe that every human being bears a dignity that cannot be reduced to social status, nationality, ethnicity, or success. From this perspective, working for justice, whether through advocacy, service, education, or daily acts of fairness, is not merely a political option. It is a response of faith. It is the conviction that the moral order of the universe favors the cause of justice, and that, even when progress is slow, Efforts toward peace and equity participate in a greater purpose. Faith also has a contemplative dimension. This does not mean that everyone must become a mystic or withdraw from the world, but it does suggest that genuine faith includes moments of silence, reflection, and interior listening. In a culture saturated with noise, speed, and distraction, faith invites us to slow down and attend to the quiet movements of the heart. In such moments, many people experience a sense of being gently drawn toward trust, gratitude, and awe. They may recognize in these experiences the subtle presence of God, or the echo of a deeper meaning that underlies existence. Even those who do not frame their experiences in religious terms can sense that there is more to life than what can be possessed or controlled. In this way, contemplation nourishes faith, reminding us that our deepest truth is not found on the surface of activity, but in the interior space where we encounter the mystery that sustains us. Another important aspect of faith is community. While it is possible to have a personal faith that is lived largely in solitude, most spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of walking with others. Communities of faith, in churches, congregations, study groups, or informal circles of shared belief, provide support, correction, encouragement, and a shared memory of how God, or meaning, has been encountered through history. They remind us that faith is not an individual achievement but a shared journey, carried across generations. When we join our voices in prayer, reflection, or common purpose, we participate in something greater than our private efforts. We are strengthened by the stories of those who have gone before us, who trusted in the face of persecution, who hoped amidst despair, and who loved when hatred seemed dominant. Their witness becomes a source of courage for us. However, to have faith in community also means facing its imperfections. Religious institutions and communities, being human, are marked by weakness, conflict, and sometimes serious failure. For some, these failures become reasons to abandon faith entirely. This response is understandable, especially when wounds are deep. Yet another possibility is to distinguish between the imperfections of human representatives and the reality of the God, or the meaning to which faith points. In this perspective, the shortcomings of communities do not invalidate the truth of faith itself. Rather, they reveal how much we all need the very grace and transformation that faith announces. Those who persevere in faith despite disappointment often do so by returning, again and again, to the central reality. The one in whom they trust remains faithful, even when human beings are not. At a deeper level, faith also speaks to our ultimate questions. What happens after death? Is there a final justice? Will the love we have given and received endure? On these matters, reason can offer hypotheses, but it cannot provide definitive answers. Faith does not supply detailed blueprints of the afterlife or explain every mystery of destiny. Instead, it offers a fundamental assurance that the one who created us in love does not abandon us, that nothing truly good is lost, and that our lives are oriented toward a fulfillment that exceeds what we can now imagine. For those who believe in a personal God, this assurance is rooted in trust in God's goodness and fidelity. For others, it may be expressed as confidence that the universe is not ultimately absurd, that justice and love have the final word. In any case, to have faith is to live now in the light of this hope for consummation, allowing it to shape our choices, our priorities, and our courage. When we look at the lives of men and women widely recognized for their moral and spiritual depth, figures such as prophets, saints, reformers, and peacemakers, We often find that their remarkable actions are sustained by a profound faith. They confront oppression without hatred, engage in service without seeking glory, and endure suffering without surrendering to bitterness. They are not immune to fear or discouragement, but they draw strength from a source beyond themselves. Their lives illustrate that faith is not a private feeling or a passive comfort. It is a dynamic force that can reshape history. While most of us will not be called to dramatic public roles, we can still allow the same dynamic of faith to transform the ordinary circumstances of our own lives. In the intimate arena of personal relationships, faith invites us to trust that authentic love is possible, even though every human bond carries the risk of disappointment and loss. It encourages us to believe that fidelity, honesty, and vulnerability are worthwhile, even when we have been hurt before. Without faith, we may choose to protect ourselves by closing our hearts, avoiding commitment, or refusing to trust others. Faith, by contrast, acknowledges the risk but affirms that the risk is worth taking because love is more valuable than safety. This does not mean ignoring prudence or boundaries. It means that fear does not have the last word. Faith in this sense is deeply connected to hope. The hope that, with grace and effort, relationships can grow, conflicts can be healed, and new beginnings are possible. Ultimately, to have faith is to allow our entire existence to be gradually shaped by a profound yes. A yes to God, to meaning, to the call of goodness and love. This yes is not pronounced once and for all, but renewed in countless decisions, both large and small. It is present when we choose truth over lies, generosity over selfishness, forgiveness over vengeance, and trust over cynicism. It is present when we rise one more time after a fall, when we offer one more prayer in darkness, when we make one more effort to serve even when we feel empty. In these hidden acts, faith becomes real. It moves from abstract theory to lived reality. What then does it really mean to have faith? It means to trust that our lives are held in a love that precedes us and accompanies us. It means to see the world not as a closed system of random forces, but as a place where grace can break through. It means to believe that every act of kindness matters, that every step toward justice counts, and that every sincere search for truth is honored. It means to accept that we will not have all the answers, yet to walk forward nonetheless, anchored not in our own certainty but in the reliability of the one we trust, or in the enduring reality of goodness itself. Such faith does not guarantee an easy life, but it does open the door to a life lived with depth, courage, and hope. In the end, faith is not something we own. It is a gift we receive and a response we choose. It is both fragile and strong, both questioned and renewed. It can begin in the simplest of ways: a whispered prayer, a quiet decision to try again, a moment of surrender in which we admit that we cannot carry everything alone. From these small beginnings, faith can grow into a steady flame that lights our path. It can sustain us through seasons of joy and sorrow, success and failure, clarity and confusion. And as it deepens, faith reveals itself as more than an idea or a feeling. It becomes the very atmosphere in which we live, move, and hope. To have faith, in this deep and authentic sense, is to allow our hearts to be guided, day by day, by the conviction that love is real, that we are not alone, and that our journey, with all its twists and turns, is leading us toward a fullness of life beyond anything we could achieve by our own strength alone.